Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm going to set up playing review of the game Lorenzo Il Magnifico. Now this is the big box edition, and this actually has all 5 expansions, promos, that kind of stuff in it as well. And I've deliberately left the board at the very top of the box just for this video. I do normally have it at the very bottom. And just to make sure I kind of get everything in shot, it's pretty zoomed out, but I will be moving up and down a little bit. So you can see here's the top of the board, there's a Kramer track. There's the bottom board down here. Now you might have seen my teaser trailer overview video. This is a game whereby we represent Lorenzo Medici in the 15th century, I believe, in Italy, in Renaissance Italy. And in this particular game, we are representing people loyal to him. He was a very wealthy individual. I think he was the richest person over in Italy. And we are aiming to get the most victory points. Now there are a number of different ways we can be gaining victory points. And something that isn't in the box by standard is a little player aid. Double-sided, there's a couple of different player aids you can get, which people have made. I recommend both. I think it's handy to use, although I have noticed some people don't get to use it as you kind of play it more and more, which is fine. We have various locations if you want to play it 2, 3 or 4. So you have something like this if you want to play it as a 2. What you're doing is just placing over the respective areas. So over here, you're going to place it there, and such like. So that's what all kind of matches up. So in this particular game, there are lots of ways in which you can get points. You can get points from military, which is over on the right hand side here. If you have the most at the end of the game, you get 5 points. In a tie, you both get 5 points. You also get faith as well. Now, in this particular game, there are lots of different modular setups. So there are 7 different ways that you can get excommunicated over 3 different periods. It's a 6-round game. It's divided into 3 periods, 2 obviously phases or 2 rounds per period, and a number of different cards that you can be using. Now I've sleeved these. I think these are sleeve kings. I might be able to quickly, I think this is what I've used. So these are more narrow than usual, 44mm. So I thought they were quite handy for that respect. You're going to take, there always is going to be enough cards over those 3 periods. So you're going to take and shuffle 4 initially, and they're going to go face up in these towers. These purple cards, by the way, are called ventures. And then once you've finished the first round, and then the first round, you can have 4 more of these. So you're then going to shuffle those up, put them out here again. That ends period 1. Doing the same in period 2. So you're going to have level 2 cards, placing 4 out. Anything left over, you're discarding, and then you're going to play with your next 4 that you haven't used to get the end of that 4th round, end of era 2 or period 2. That then continues into obviously the final period, period 3. Again, 4 cards are going to go out. You're going to replace them with that final 4 cards. Again, making sure you do remove any cards you haven't used at the end of a round. So what is a round? A round consists of 4 turns. They represent your family members. And over here we now have characters. Now in this game it has a 5 or 5th player expansion and pink. You can play them as your base game. It's absolutely fine. I will be talking to you about the advanced game as well, which involves leader cards as well. So I'll tell you about the base game, then talk to you about leaders, and then mention at least one of the kind of expansion things you can kind of chuck in as well. I do recommend the expansion. It does add a bit more variability, and the full advanced game as well. It's actually easier to play than the base game, which is obviously a little bit more steech. So here we are, we have got some more cards going out. These are called buildings, so adventures, characters and buildings. And lastly we have territories in green. So all these different towers represent different things you can do. Ventures on the right give you victory points at the end of the game. And all these cards do have the standard iconography. Again, it's Clemens France. If you've played Grand Austria Hotel, see my video for that. Pretty much the same designers and the same artist. Straight off, you're going to get yourself 1 faith. I'll explain why you might want some faith. Basically, at the end of each period, remember that's in the rounds 2, 4 and 6, we're checking to see how our faith is doing. Now, if you happen to get your counter up to that 3rd position mark, you will not get excommunicated. If you do not get excommunicated, then you will not be penalised. So let me show you a colour in question. I've played with every colour apart from red so far, so let's just chuck these out. So I've baggied this up for each person. Now, it only just about fits in the box, and you can get inserts such as folder space. You're going to have a neutral family member. I don't know what that represents, like a cousin or something like that. You're going to have some starting counters. They're going to be going out into various spots in this worker placement economic game. One is going to go on the 0 space over there, just out of shot. Let me show you. There it is. One on the military track. So now we're going to move the board up and show you where it is down the bottom down there. You're going to place one on the faith track over here. And finally, you're going to decide randomly who goes first, and that's also going to be a decider. You're also going to have these excommunication cubes, which I'll move off to one side for the time being. So let me show you what a tile can look like. Again, dependent on the era or the period, you're going to place one of these out. You're then obviously going to be placing them out for the remaining other positions that you haven't yet put in there. Again, I baggy these up individually because I'm keen to play through all of them. I've played through 5 different of these excommunication tiles, but I've not played through all of them. So this is always, like I said, always going to be varied each game. There's a player aid telling you exactly what they do too. And now I'm going to chuck out that final one, obviously representing Era 3. And again, there's a separate baggie for all these things too. So again, that's what I'm using. So yeah, aim in the game, get the most victory points. So in this particular game, what you're going to do is check and see if you have enough faith. If you have enough faith, you're going to check and see what happens. In this case, each die value, which I'll get onto, is going to be actually worth 1 fewer than what it actually represents as a pip value. In this one, if you haven't reached it by this, and you always reset back to 0. If you haven't and you do not want to get excommunicated, you need to spend 2 servants to add a pip value, or obviously that's going to be a factor. And over here, you are going to be, for every victory point you have, you're going to lose a victory point. So for every, I guess, military point, you're going to lose a victory point. So that's how that works. Again, you don't have to be excommunicated. I've played games where I've got excommunicated every round, bearing in mind that, of course, I won't be benefiting from this. Equally, sometimes if you get excommunicated, you will obviously keep your victory points as they are, and that's fine because these do improve in value as you get up. As you can see past this line, they actually increase. So 15 positions gets you 30 points, whereas normally down here it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Now aside from that, if you reach this point, you can choose to be excommunicated, in which case you keep your position, or you can choose to go, no, what, do you know what, I'm going to pay in my faith as it's regarded and go back to 0. So if you reach this location, you must get excommunicated, so that's going to happen, but you do score 2 victory points. So being excommunicated means you're not aligning with the church, but you do score victory points, so it works both ways. Now, because of the size of the board, I'm just going to kind of show you up here what you can do up here. So this is a board, everybody has the same board, they're all the same, just different colours, and what you're doing is placing out cards you have from yellow is going to go up here, cards from green, so you have buildings up here, you have territories down here, and if you need to get a certain amount of territories, you need to be spending or getting a certain amount of military. In this case, once you've got 3 military, basically think of it like power. I can now control 3 territories. You also need to get 7 military, and you don't have to spend it, you just need to have it to be up and get your 4th territory. Your 5th is worth 12, and your 6th is going to get 18 military, but you do start getting victory points. Nothing initially, then you're scoring 1, 4, 7, and 10. This is where your blue buildings will go and your purple buildings, and you'll score at the end of the game victory points equal to the amount that you have in blue, and purple again are straight up victory points. Lastly, resources at the end of the game, wood, stone, money, and servants, that's what these are called ours. They're going to get you 1 point per 5, obviously rounded down. And that's where you're going to keep your locations. You're going to keep your coins there, your wood there, your stone there, and your servants there. Okay, so I'll leave this off to the side slightly and move this out of the way as well. And let me show you how it's going to work. So whoever's going to go first, you're deciding where you want to go. Before we do that, whoever is going to be going first is going to be rolling these dice. And again, depending on who starts each round, they're going to decide that. So right now we have rolled 3, 3 and a 1. So here we go. What this represents is you are now going to be going up these various tracks. So if you want to take this card, it's going to give you 4 servants. Servants let you increase this basically by 1 pip per servant if you want to get something in particular. So they are very helpful. And your family member that works with the black die, they can go and they're worth 3. So that's what that represents. So they can go up to this, which represents level 1, these are level 3, these are level 5, and these are level 7. So to do that, you could spend 4 servants and go all the way up to the top. Now these top 2 levels are better because you can gain yourself 2 wood, 2 stone, 2 military, and 2 coin. Here you're going to get 1 wood, 1 stone, 1 military point, and 1 coin. So imagine I wanted to go to here. Again, if I've got 2 servants, that is now worth a 5. I can now take this card. There's a cost of buying it. In this case, it's 2 wood and 2 stone, and I get 2 privileges, which we'll talk about, and 4 victory points into the game, and I'll get that benefit. So you spend your servants to increase the 3 to a 5, you take that card. So here are privileges. You can either get 1 wood and a stone, or 2 servants, you spent 4 to get 2 back, or 2 money, or 2 military points, or 1 faith. Again, you can take 2 along with their different. You could instead go over here to get military points and then spending 2 wood if you've got it and getting a faith. Remember, you must have at least 3 if you want to not get excommunicated. And then you're going to be able to, later on, as I'll explain, get yourself a money for a faith when you convert this. This is an engine building part of the game. I'll take that for the time being, and then it's somebody else's turn. Now, if they want to go in the same tower as you because they really want that card, they can. But to go in the same tower as you, they've got to pay the bank 3 money. It's always 3 money if someone else is there. I can no longer go in this column if I'm already there, unless I use my neutral worker. So that's how that works. On to characters. It's all about money. You have to spend money to get these cards. And this one instance lets you from now on, it's like a permanent ability. For all blue cards you want to buy, you basically have your family member is worth 2 more, and it's going to cost you a coin fewer. So from now on, if I've got a 1, it's worth a 3 basically. So it increases it by 2. Again, if I want to take any value, I might want to use my family member associated with white to again move up and take whatever I want to get, to try and get the best I can for what I have. But it depends what you need. Again, these are all randomized. And then we have territories over here. So we've talked about characters in blue. The more you have, the more victory points you get. And in green, or they kind of snowball, in green it's similar. So again, if you've got 3, they're worth 1. If you have 6, they're worth 20, but you will need to spend military as well. This is similar to yellow. So let's talk about these other action spaces you can go to. If you come down here, you have must have a pip value of at least of 1 to go anywhere on the board. So with your servants, you need to increase your 0 neutral member. That's what they are. Always start at 0. You can go down here. So this is like running your buildings. You're visiting all your buildings, minimum value of 1. And if I'm using the white person related to that family member, it runs at 3 currently, which in this case is enough. So straight away, I can go have any coins, I can spend 1 to get 1 family member. And again, the more I have, the more efficient this is because I'm getting more benefits. And then another thing which I'll talk to you about in a second is based on this the advanced stage now, you can have the standard size, you can also have the advanced side. So if this was slotted in on the basic side, then if you are yellow, you'll not only run this, but you're also getting yourself 2 coins of military point. So again, you can convert 1 to 1. And down here on green, if you do the same thing, if you want to run green instead, you go down to the axe marker. Again, it's running at 3 currently, so you need to spend a servant, which you will get because you have a servant down here. And then you can run this at 4, for example, so you get 2 stone. Now bear in mind, you cannot use anything that you generate to actually be used. So you've got to have it in advance if you want to do this action. Very powerful, but the more you have, the better. And meanwhile, everyone else is just going along. So again, in the advanced game, you're going to take these in reverse player order to see which one you want to pick for whatever reason. So that's something to consider. Again, that is something that happens, and these cards will not be replenished until the end of the round. But they will, of course, all get removed at the end of the round. So let's talk about down here. Straight up easy ones. Now, you need to have a minimum value of 1, but you can get yourself 5 coins. So you might want 5 coins, so that's going to go here. Now it's taken. You might want to get 5 people, so that's going to go there, hit 2. Again, if you're playing as a 4, these are uncovered, so you can get yourself 3 military and 2 coins. Here you can get yourself 2 different privileges. Now I did cover these over, for example, for the 2-player game, but the way this works is it basically reduces these values by 3. So if you've got a 4 or a 5 card or something, it's not going to generate. So you need to make sure you bump it up the servants. You can bump it up the servants to get this to run. Just bear that in mind. So if you want to go down here and you're on a 3, you need to make it into a 5 if you want any card worth, say, a 5 to run. So that's how that works. Again, if you want to have more coins, there are 5 values and stuff. If you need to get more of these larger stone, then again, they're worth 5 for the servants, for the wood and for the stone. Again, standard size servants down here, standard size stone and standard size wood. Again, they're not too fiddly, but they move around a little bit. So that's how that works. Now, let's talk about this. If you want to be the first player next round, for whatever reason, then you will gain yourself a council privilege and you'll gain yourself a coin. And the way it's going to work is, imagine, I don't know, I've got a blue or I'm playing green. And the way it's going to work is they don't just slide around willy-nilly. If, I don't know, green was currently first, you literally pick up wherever you are, if you went here as well. Again, that'd be converted up to say at least value 1, and then everyone slides down. And then you get first pick next time. Going first can be advantageous because, of course, you might be running your machines or stopping someone from running their machines. So that's quite important. Aside from that, as I mentioned, the last person in the game will get 5 points for the most. Ties are friendly, so everyone can get 5. I've talked to you about the starting setup for the advanced game relating to what can go on the side of your board. Let's quickly talk about these council cards. These leader cards. So again, this is the advanced game, but I do highly recommend you play with them. Everybody's going to start off with 4, so you're going to shuffle, give 4 to everybody, and then you're going to pick one and then pass the other 3 around. And they're going to have certain requirements. Okay, so these are all listed, all the information. So I'll give you an example of what they will represent. But everything is listed in the rulebook, and those unofficial player aids are very useful too. So let's grab a card and talk to you about what it does. So they all have quite a hard requirement. You might not do it in round one. You're going to have to get up to 12 in military. You're not spending anything, you just have to reach it. And then from then on, every single round, you'll get yourself 1 wood, 1 stone, and 1 coin. And then you just flip the card over and say, look, I've done that. And then next round. Every card is different, but they're fantastic benefits. Sometimes they get like 4 victory points per round, something like that. Okay, the last thing to tell you about is the kind of variable setup that you can have for the game as well. So move this over a bit further, I'm going to give you an example. You're going to take 3 of these little tokens over here, and these represent family members, and it allows you to pick who it is, and they're going to give you ability throughout the game. So it's something to work towards, and again, it's very helpful to play with because they're very interesting choices as to what you can pick. So you're going to have 3 cards, something like this, and they're going to go out. And then you're also going to take some auction tiles, and they're going to go out too, and they'll allow you to start thinking about what starting resources you get. Normally, your starting resources is the following. You're going to get yourself 3 servants, 2 wood, 2 stone, and 5 coins if you're going first. If you're going second, then you're getting 6, third, and so on. You're going to get 7 and 8, etc. So you can randomise these out, and starting off with whoever's going to go first, you are going to pick one of these locations. And if you pick, I don't know, over on the left-hand side here, you're going to get lots of servants. Over here, you're going to get some coin, and over here, you're kind of getting quite a bit of everything. So everything's balanced. So if I wanted to go down here, currently I'm going to win this, and I'm going to take it. But for whatever reason, maybe green really wants it, then they get the next one, which is worse, but they don't want these things. I then get bounced, I can then go up here, or I can go somewhere else, so I can take one of these. And you play depending on how many players there are. If there's 2 of you, you just have 2 family members. And depending on whatever it is, then you are going to gain a benefit. So the benefits do vary. Like I said, they are powerful, they are interesting. And as an example, last game, I have this one. So if I manage to get a card of everything, so I have 1 yellow card, 1 green, 1 purple, and 1 blue, then I can draw 2 extra leader cards at random and then add them to what I can work with. Now, any cards you do discard, you discard one of your cards, you do get a privilege benefit as well. So you can just choose to discard a card, not get the big reward, and just take, say, 2 servants or something. If you have 2 of them, you can play out one of those cards without paying its cost, its requirement to basically be fulfilled, and straight away you can use that. Get 3 of everything, which I managed to do, get yourself 10 victory points. With 4, you'll get yourself an additional 15 victory points. So that's a really lovely addition, and again, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to playing with these expansions. A lot of fun. So what do I think of this game overall as a rating? Presently, my rating is at least an 8.5. It's phenomenal. It's already ranked, as I may have seen mentioned in the prior video, which I think if you had seen already, it is already boardgamegeek 100. That's the base game. Now again, this has all those expansions in it. Like I said, it just about fits in the box. Highly recommend it with all these different add-ons as well. It turned out to actually be cheaper than the full regular game as well. Beautiful to look at. It doesn't take too long. It actually takes less than I thought it would. It takes about 75 minutes to play as a 2, which I think for a medium weight Euro game is spot on. I prefer it to Grand Austria Hotel quite significantly because there is no luck of the dice to worry about. It's very tight. You're typically needing to get exactly, I don't know, a certain amount of resources, and you're normally shy by about 1. There are 16 obviously options up here you can pick, but typically as the game goes on, you'll find that you might only be able to afford 1 of them because you've got 1 fewer resource that you need, you haven't got enough coins, maybe you haven't got enough military, or of course you don't have whatever the requirement is over here. So there's lots of things to be plotting around with. The scores do increase. They are better when you do play with the expansions, which, like I say, help. And like I said, lots of variability going on with these particular tiles as well. Now in the expansion, also in this big box edition, remember, it does include more of these tiles, 3 more tiles. There's 20 new leader cards. There's a 5th tower that you can play with as well. If you have any questions about any of this, please again mention it in YouTube. Let me know your thoughts. Let's everyone else again join that discussion and see if we can, help anybody out with any other questions. I found it fascinating. Again, phenomenal designers. Big fan of these guys from Italy. I think it's a remarkable achievement. Again, it's great table presence. Yes, you get used to seeing some of these cards. You get used to knowing what level 2 and 3 period cards it might be. And again, with a sleeved edition, and I've sleeved it, you definitely don't need to sleeve it. They need just about fit in these little small baggies that I choose to pick with it. Again, that 5th edition is pretty cool. 5th player as well. I think it will take more time with more players. I don't think that's a bad thing, but just bear that in mind. Cranking this handle, getting obviously the engine building going, plus you have the economy going on here. It's a lot going on in a great way. Aside from that, this is going to go in, of course, I had a setup plan review playlist. And if you check out the description, you can of course support the channel via Patreon. There are occasionally competitions, so keep checking the link tree as well. And if you go through to Instagram, there's over 2,700 posts presently, then you will find lots and lots of pictures of this with lots of different people I've been playing it with. Again, I've talked about how great the art is. It's also going in that playlist, the AmassGames playlist, and in the art gallery playlist for Clemens France. It's an interesting board because, of course, it's a tall board. Iconography is generally good. The rulebook did need a couple of reads of though, and there's a couple of not necessarily sort of typos, kind of more grammatical issues and how things are spaced. But once you have read it that first time, it does flow well. Again, the resources are marginally fiddly. There's no recessed player boards. I do like the way, obviously, things do get merged around, and apparently there's a house rule whereby people do play with that as standard for those opened up. And yeah, like I said, it's been played very much so, and it's highly likely to be shortlisted, if not win, my game of the month as well. So slightly older game this, but absolutely top draw, probably my top 20 games of all time. If you want to see that list, there's going to be a new edition again coming out at the end of the year approximately. So huge fun going on with Lorenzo Il Magnifico. Again, as you can see, there's no English text on it. Great game by Cranio Creations. They've again done a brilliant job. Lots of spare rule books in here too that I put in here, which you definitely don't need, but I thought I'd leave them in here just in case. And yeah, nice colorations. I like the fact they have gone with those these various options. Again, keen to see if I can get an insert in here because I think it would really benefit from one. Again, here's plenty of other cards as well, which I haven't even touched yet. There's just so many great things to check out. Really cool, again, change with auctions. I think that makes a lot of sense. At first playing experience, you might feel a little overwhelmed by what on earth is valuable and not valuable, but generally speaking, I've seen people play very well on their first play. So it all seems to gel well, and I even like the fact that when you do cover things over, things are still effective. Things will be easy to put away in time, just because I'm of course making sure I'm being methodical and playing through everything. There will be other, obviously, games by Cranio Creation. I'll be bringing you 3 more games, such as My Shelfie and S-Spam, and there's another game called, I think it's Mystery House. I look forward to checking out too. I find cups are very useful for this game as well, keeping hold of materials. And for now, back to the table.